I called you once again because we wanted to discuss the Executive Order 106, which we know may change
Yes,
as time
yes.
goes on, but right now this is what we have in place to try to help people stay in their homes if for any reason they have been out of work and can't pay their rent, or maybe cannot make mortgage payments, depending on what they do. Obviously, there's a lot of people that have been able to work from home and continue their lifestyle. I did read, as far as the stimulus bill is concerned, there is not going to be anything in the bill for people like me, like independent contractors or people that like kind of, independent contractors, Uber drivers, things like that.
Really? Because it's interesting because I got an email from NAR last night saying that they were lobbying for
They,
independent contractors,
right.
but they couldn't get anything in the bill. Is that the
Well,
case?
I mean, we don't actually know what's in the
No.
bill yet, because I just saw a report that said even the lawmakers don't have the final writing of the bill. They're
Okay.
still negotiating over what they want in it, but both sides feel that they're a lot closer to coming to an agreement about who's getting what.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Well, like you said, my reading of VO Executive Order 106 states that as of March 19th, when it went into effect, when Governor Murphy signed it, which was last Thursday, today is March 24th, Tuesday, March 24th, 2020, there is a moratorium at this point on all evictions and foreclosures going forward until the public health emergency is over. Now, obviously, that is pretty vague and doesn't give us any clarity on when this is going to be over. And not only does it state that there's a moratorium until it is over, but it is until it is over and 2 months past that point. So, what does that mean? It means that the courts will not calendar any new eviction proceedings. They will not calendar any writs of possession, warrants of removal. They're not going to calendar lockouts in the sheriff's office. They're not going to put anybody out on the street, because what's horrible at this point? Being homeless and out on the street during a pandemic, or having a landlord not be able to take possession of an empty property.
Right.
Obviously, being homeless during a pandemic. So,
and who are they going to rent it to anyway? I mean,
right.
They're not going to get somebody new at this point.
Well, they'll rent it to somebody who can't pay rent, because everybody is having a financial issue right now. So
I wonder what will happen going forward for people that are having trouble paying bills and this and that, and how that's going to affect their credit, if there's going to be any kind of, I don't know, leniency as far as that goes, because this is definitely going to impact a lot of people, especially people that depend on like an hourly wage employee, someone that's living paycheck to paycheck, which is a huge percentage of the country.
Right. That's correct. That is correct. It's going to be very, very hard going forward. Not only for people who can't afford properties, but then how do you take into account, like you said, people's credit who will have this on their record going forward? Do you just discount this period of time where nobody had control, and frankly, it just needs to be cut out, this 6 month, 9 month period of time, and you say, well, we're really not going to look at that black mark on your record because it's not your fault. It's what we call force majeure. It's just an act of God, and no one has control over it. You had to sit out on the sidelines, And frankly, we're just going to put you back to the same place you were in before this all started. So if you had a 740 credit score before you stopped paying your bills, we'll say you had a 740 credit score again. I don't know. I
I
would
know,
tend to
it's
think so.
interesting. But all
It's
of
hard.
that's going to impact really renters to a large extent, because I know from a real estate standpoint, when I'm working with someone trying to find a rental property, I actually know more about their financial background than I do when I'm working with someone purchasing a home, because they're going through a mortgage advisor that's just letting me know what they can afford, how many, what the taxes should be under, or what they can pay. I don't really know what their whole credit score is, their financial background. But for
Sure.
rental, I need to see pay stubs. I need, other information about them. So
Of
in
course.
some ways, it's almost more difficult to get someone with a low credit score into a rental than it is to work with a mortgage advisor to figure out ways to work around and different mortgage products that they have to work around lower credit scores.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I agree with you. That's
I
true.
think they really need to kind of look at that, because in the coming months, we may have more renters right now than we're going to see buyers that don't feel secure enough, or may have had to blow through some of the savings that they had for a down payment to keep them afloat going
I
forward.
I think that's very true, and not just that. Even if it's blowing through savings, they might not have they might have lost their savings in the market, and they might have to wait for the market to recover before they can pull that down payment out to put down on the house. So that 20% that they were going to use is now gone.
Right.
So it's going to be tough. I'm curious to know how the market is going to react. Actually, I'm in the I'm curious. You're a realtor. I'm in the market right now. I need to buy a house. I've actually sold my house. I have to move out on April 20th. What do you think is going to happen to the market, since we're in the throes of the spring market right now? Nobody's putting listings on. They can't. If this
Well, we can
lasts,
virtually. I mean, I'm going to try to put a listing on virtually at the end of the month. The problem is we cannot responsibly go out and show properties. We cannot responsibly do open houses.
right. And do you think that even if people can say I'm a buyer, okay, and I am, and I see a house virtually, do you think that I'm going to feel comfortable putting in an offer if I haven't touched it and felt it and walked it and gone into the house and actually walked the property?
No,
I mean,
but if you're that interested, because
right?
basically what we'd have had to do is, if someone's super interested, we're going to have to see their financial, their pre-approval. We have to know that they're actually a buyer,
Yeah,
and that this is a house that they really love and they want to see. You can make arrangements with seller's permission to maybe have one, like whatever, the two people, a husband and wife, go through that house,
sure,
with precautions. But, we don't really know if anyone's doing that right. I mean, I'm sure there are people out showing houses right now.
sure. Well,
So I
but
just think you have to be really careful, because not only that we personally don't want to get sick, but we certainly don't want to get anyone else sick.
no, of course not. But I guess my question, more to the point, do you think that the spring market is going to get delayed, or do you think it's going to come on virtually and then people there'll be pent up supply, or is there going to be the same supply and demand is just going to get slowed because people can't see it in real time?
Well, I think even before coronavirus, the spring market was really slow. Like usually
Yeah,
in February, you would have seen a lot more houses go on the market that were going on the market.
right.
So we've had this whole supply and demand issue. We just don't have enough houses to sell. But I think that what's going to happen is it's going to delay the burst of the spring market, but you're still going to see spotty properties here and there. Also, the MLS is allowing, if you have a property on, to kind of park it and withdraw it temporarily with no penalties of days on market. So we're going to see a lot of things like coming on and going off in that way. But it's really hard to say. I think in the long run, it's not going to impact property value because we still don't have enough houses to sell. We didn't have enough houses to sell before coronavirus. I don't know,
Right.
you know, I don't think that's going to change because of what's happening. And I think that in certain price ranges, you're not going to see that big of a difference because not everybody had their money in the stock market. I think in the higher price ranges, you might see a little bit more of a hit if people did in fact park a lot of money in the stock market.
Sure, definitely.
So it's going to be interesting because I think it's going to tell us a lot about how people are working now, who's working from home, you know, what businesses are going to survive after this, and how that's going to impact everyone, you know, but we're not going to know that until we can kind of look back and then take all the numbers and data and plug it into a graph and see, okay,
Sure.
now
Yeah.
look at it, it was just like 2008. Took years to really see what the impact of that was.
Right. No, I agree.
So I think it's going to be similar, but I don't think it's going to impede the value of property. Even though it might stall the market and the actual buying and selling process, I don't think that property values are going to decrease.
Oh, that's good. That's a positive. It's
Right.
definitely a positive for homeowners. Not so great for me if I'm buying, but definitely helpful for homeowners.
Right, but if you are buying, you know, wherever you're buying, depending on how fast you get out there and start moving around and doing that, you may be ahead of the curve.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
and
true.
people that had to take their houses off the market for a brief period of time may be a little bit more anxious to get them on and sell.
Sure.
So
That's true.
it may equal the playing field because I think for a while sellers were feeling like they had a little bit too much of the upper hand. And I think for agents, it was hard for us to explain to them that even though there's not a lot of inventory, it doesn't mean that you can just put any number on your house.
Sure. Right.
So this may kind of wake everybody up to the fact that, yeah, you know what, maybe we can't just sit around and wait, put our house on the market for too high and think we're going to wait for the buyer that's going to come and pay that.
Right.
So that could work to, I think that's going to work to everyone's advantage because I think if anything, this was a little eye-opening to, you know, things don't always go as planned.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very, very true. This whole pandemic, while it could have been forecast, it certainly was not. And I think everybody got too complacent in the idea that the U.S. was untouchable, and clearly it just
and we found out no place was untouchable.
That's right.
But have you seen the new coronavirus addendum?
No, I haven't.
All right, I could actually email. There's an addendum that people have been, I believe it was put out at least by NAJAR, if not NAR.
Okay.
And
to
it's
the
an
contract?
addendum that states that, like for you, for instance, you're in the middle of a deal. If you can't get out by April 20th, it covers you.
Great. That's great. That's
So,
good to know. That is helpful. When did they put that out?
Hold on, I'll let you know the date of it, but I believe it was, what is it now, the 24th? I think that came out the 20th.
Oh, so Friday. It was last Friday.
Yeah, I think it came out on Friday.
Great. Yes, no, I need to see that.
Because we're actually putting that's going to be part of our sales meeting. The first time I saw it was with my friend who is in California. They had it first because California shut down their MLS.
Yeah.
Over a week ago. They said no more showings, no more open houses. They basically told all agents, no broker tours, no open houses.
Well, I wonder, even though I'm out of attorney review, I'm out of contract at this point. I mean, if you're already about to close, let's say you're a week away from closing, how useful is that addendum? I mean, you really have to
Well, I
be.
guess you as a lawyer will have to look at it, and that could be the next meeting that we have.
Yeah, exactly. I have to review that and give it a
Yes.
thorough review, because
Yeah.
frankly, that's a very good question, because I know it's interesting. I had a call with a client earlier today who was thinking of going into contract on a home, and he's not thrilled with the pricing on it. And he said, I'm not even sure if I want to look at it, but the seller is an attorney and he's putting in all this coronavirus language, and he just wants to make sure it's locked up so that, this is a done deal. And I said, well, send me the contract, I'll review it. So it was the first time I started thinking about an actual coronavirus rider provision.
Right. Well,
So it's nice to.
they definitely have an addendum, so I'm going to send that to you.
That's great. That's great.
And now we know, tune in next time when we discuss the coronavirus addendum.
Perfect. That's
Um,
perfect.
yeah,
That's great.
it
Good.
is interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
but this is good.
Helpful.
Honestly, it's so helpful to talk to you outside of our little video
Oh,
thing.
I'm glad. Well, I feel like we segue into different issues, which is helpful. I think it's very, very.
Absolutely. And I
Yeah.
think that, just getting your perspective on it and knowing that you do not only have a hand in real estate because you are licensed, but you are a seller and going to be a buyer. So
Yeah.
we can just cover it all right here. And
Well,
I'm an owner that may become a renter if I don't start working soon.
oh God, no, I hope
No.
not. Well,
Now,
I'll tell
listen,
you.
we were just discussing though, and this is also going to come up, is that, I don't know what people like me, independent contractors, are going to do about healthcare.
Well, it's interesting. Well, is your husband covered? Does he have health,
Yeah, but
group
he's a
health?
small business owner, so they pay it.
Of course. Well, I
Right,
pay through my firm as well, so
right,
I'm the same way.
right.
Um,
And that's
so
like a $30,000 bill
yes,
for us a year.
yes, same thing, same
Right.
thing. I'm dealing with the same thing. So I have to read exactly how we're covered, and if my firm will somehow be eligible for something. Um, but at the same time, I'm continuing to work to try and make sure that I can afford to pay my bills. I'm a little bit different, in that I can take phone calls and bill clients and
Right,
do
right.
it a little differently. Um, so I have that advantage, but at the same time, if the phone stops ringing, I don't have clients to bill.
Right. Listen, if you
And
need me to go out and commit a crime because you need somebody to
no, no, no,
bring a
I don't,
client,
I don't,
I'll
I don't
take
do
one for the
criminal.
team, Matt.
I don't. Well, it's funny you say that, because my brother-in-law is a criminal defense attorney in New York City. I don't do criminal defense work, but I said to him, maybe a new market for you are all of these people who are violating quarantine. People who are going out and not staying at home, and the police are picking them up now, because I don't know what they're getting fined. I don't know if they're putting them in jail. I
Right,
don't,
right.
that sort of stuff. But the truth is, nobody is, from what I've heard, there's no new business. There's current business. People are glued to their TVs. They're looking at the news. They're trying to figure out, once we get
Which
out
is
of the
not good.
house. No,
Don't
it's
put,
not.
no,
No.
because it's all the same thing. And then you have all the pundits and their opinions on everything. It's just, you don't even
It,
need it.
and
Just,
then you talk to some people and they're out there. Oops, hold on. Sorry. Oh, did I lose you?
just for
Sorry.
a second.
Sorry about. Yeah, I had a call coming in. So the fact is that you speak to some people and they're like, yeah, I was in my office today and I was doing work. What are you in your office for doing work? Don't be in your office. Be at home. Figure out how to
I
Zoom. I
know,
think it's
I know.
oh,
But
it's frustrating.
that's like the American way. And honestly, a lot of the countries that were able to get this under control, like Korea, have a very obedient society. So when the
Right,
government said, don't go out, people didn't go out.
right,
They didn't
right.
question.
That's
Here it's
correct.
like, it's just the flu, and people are just going about their business. So it's interesting, but that's something
It's
we're not going to be able to control. And I think the only thing that we can control is taking care of ourselves, distancing as we see fit, and not making people feel like we're paranoid.
right.
And that's it. Stay home. Don't go out
That
unless you absolutely have to.
that's right. That's all you can do. That's
Right.
all you
Don't
can
go out
do.
unless you have to do an open house or show properties. Just kidding.
Right,
Just
right,
kidding,
right.
kidding. All right.
Groceries,
So
yeah.
I'm going to send you the addendum.
Please do.
All
Thank
right,
you.
read
Yes.
that, and then we'll regroup, tomorrow or the next day or whenever you have time.
That would be great. No, I'd love
All
to.
right.
Excellent.
And then
Thanks so much.
I'm gonna try to get this recording together, and then you can use it as you see fit as well.
Oh, that's excellent. Thank you
But
so
only
much.
if I look good. If I don't look
You
good on
look
it, no one's
great.
using it.
You look great. You always look great. I love
Oh,
it.
so do you.
Oh,
All
thank
right.
you. All right. I'll
Listen,
talk.
have a
Yes.
beautiful day.
You too.
Stay
Thank
healthy
you.
first and foremost, and I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Be well. Bye.
Bye.